This video is sponsored by Envato Elements. What's up everyone? This will be the first artwork of the year and I wanted to do an exploration composition inspired by the visuals of Tomb Raider and Uncharted. So without further ado, let's create. I started with placing this giant stone face from the majestic Bayon temple in Cambodia. This will form the main left frame and set up the mood of the composition. Next I dropped another picture of the same Bayon temple to fill the background. This one had a bit of color fringing, so I went into the lens corrections and adjusted the green magenta fringe. I used Photoshop's sky selection tool to quickly select the sky from the stone structures and then manually painted on the mask to fine-tune the edges. I patched in the very foreground from the stone ruins of the ancient Ta Prohm temple. I added another image of the enigmatic Ta Prohm temple, used Photoshop's sky selection tool to separate the sky from the rest, and then went into the select and mask and used the refine hair tool to fine-tune the leaves. Then I used the free transforms distort tool to fit the image to the rest of the scene. Let me briefly touch base on the perspective over here. The image has a 3-point perspective with 3 vanishing points which are way off the screen so you cannot see them, but you can see the 3 grids in 3 different colors. I didn't try to be pixel perfect over here like I do for the city images. These ancient ruins are not perfect in all the edges and alignment, so I could easily get away with roughly aligning them with the perspective grid. For the sky I used 2 images and changed one's blending mode to soft light on top of another to get some interesting sky textures. For the midground floor I used some grass image and roughly patched them in. No ancient ruins are complete without giant tree roots, so I added some sampling from this image. The explorer will add up to the narrative and also give a sense of scale. I used 2 images to create the guy. Next, I worked a bit on cleaning up this image. Then I made multiple copies of it to intensify the leaves in case the mask bled over them. Since I removed the central tree, the roots looked weird, so I tried to merge it by bending it with the puppet warp tool. After that, I started adding some tree PNGs to add extra foliage and build the midground. I used hue saturation wherever needed to match the greens with the rest. With the stock placement more or less done, let's check out Envato Elements, who is also the sponsor of this video. With more than 50 million assets, Envato Elements is the perfect one-stop shop to satisfy all your creative needs. They have millions of high-quality photos which form the backbone of any photo manipulation. For today's composition, I could easily search with Cambodian temples and choose from these super high-resolution images. You can also access a wide array of graphic overlays like particles, textures, and so much more. Along with that, the huge collection of 3D assets is a must-have for any composition. I used a couple of different trees from here and they can be rotated in any angle fitting the composition and downloaded as PNGs or PSDs, which means they are already cut out and are huge time savers. Also, the licensing is super simple. With an active subscription, you just need to add it to the project you are using it for and download it. That's it. Now if the downloaded asset does not fit the composition, you need not worry. With unlimited downloads, you can just go for different assets and keep experimenting until you get the best elements for your artwork. Now that's awesome. If this sounds exciting, you can get access to millions of assets with just a single subscription, and that too for less than $20 a month with their 50% discounted annual plan. That means instead of paying $33 every month in the monthly plan, you just get to pay $16.50 per month in the annual plan. If you think Envato Elements is for you, you can get your subscription today and unlock unlimited creative assets. I'll add the link for you in the description section. Alright, let's get back to our composition. Before moving on to the main color grading, I quickly darkened up the midground with some curves. I made some further adjustments to the placement of the trees and also put a mossy texture on the front face in overlay blending mode and added some grassy textures. I started darkening up the foreground objects using curves. At the same time, I modified the curves to get a greenish violet hue. I added a light mist and smoke as that can help separate the foreground from the midground. It will also add a mysterious feel to our scene. I also added a cloud image and used the channel separation method to mask out the clouds. I went into the channels tab and checked the red channel to have the greatest contrast. Then I duplicated it and used levels to make the sky close to black and the clouds close to white. Then I control-clicked on the thumbnail to select the white pixels and use them as a mask. I added a quick greenish color cast and after that used the free transform tool to morph and shape the mist as I saw fit. For the sky, I added a quick greenish violet hue using curves and darkened it up a bit. I added another curves layer in the shade of bright orange and used it to add the warm tones of the sunset. I also added a greenish violet hue using curves for the distant temples and added the haze using a solid color fill. I was kinda unsure how to achieve the color grading I had in my mind, so I did a lot of back and forth and things can look a bit confusing. I started experimenting with overall color tones by adding 2 color lookup tables and changed the blending modes to color. I added red, blue, yellow and film stock 50. After muting the colors of the background temples a bit, I added a curves in the shades of bright warm sunset. Then on the layer mask filled with black, I painted with white to reveal the sunlit parts of the temple. This helped create a nice light work in the distant structures and also helped make their shapes stand out. I added 2 more curves for the sky. On the left side I added a brightened up curve and on the right side I added a dark bluish curve to add a nice overall gradient. For the light shafts, I took a layer in soft light blending mode and painted with some cream yellow color. I also painted with some dark blue color on separate soft light layers to darken up the right side of the image and create any additional contrasts. I added some extra color grading on top. I used a drop blues color lookup table to desaturate the stark blue tones, then used a vibrance layer to boost the saturation and used the Fuji Eterna 250D Kodak 2395 color lookup table. As I mentioned earlier, I was not sure how to achieve the color grading I was looking for, so I experimented a lot. Hopefully you can get a similar color grading in a much simpler way. Along with that, I occasionally painted on soft light layers with additional colors wherever I wanted to create some variations. I also used the darkened up curves to add some shadows on the background temples and make their shapes more defined. I kept painting on layers with soft light blending mode with additional colors to make the different shapes defined, and also used an additional brightness and contrast adjustment layer to brighten up the left side of the sky. After adding some grain, I put a layer on top of everything and changed its blending mode to soft light. On it, I painted with some cream yellow color around the sunlit areas to create a bloom effect. Next, I spent some time creating a dappled light effect. They are the light spots that we see when light comes through the gaps in the leaves and falls on various objects. I found out about this neat technique from the photo manipulation channel. I used the same 3 PNGs previously used, selected the gaps in between the leaves and filled them with a cream yellow color. Then changed the blending mode to overlay and placed them in appropriate places. I was not quite happy with how the distant temples looked, so I kept revisiting them, added extra atmospheric haze, and also brightened up the sunlit yellow-orange glow. Next, I added some birds to convey a sense of scale and add some variation in the scene. I dropped a bird's image and used the channel separation method to separate them from the sky. I went into the channels tab and checked the blue channel to have the greatest contrast. Then I duplicated it and used levels to increase the contrast and make the pods close to black and the sky close to white. Then I control-clicked on the thumbnail to select the white pixels, inverted the selection and use it as a mask to select the pods. I also fine-tuned the mask manually wherever needed. I mixed and matched their positions and added a separate bird's image to create some variations. Finally, I added some dust particles in the areas of the sunbeams and fine-tuned different areas a bit. And here is the final result. Honestly, I'm not that satisfied with how it turned out, and I think things could have been a lot better here. But do let me know your thoughts in the comments and share the video with your friends if you think it is helpful. Also, if you like my overall content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That would greatly motivate me to keep creating more videos like this. Well, I'll see you in the next video, and till then, enjoy creating